today's signing class. Also, any other bowl-related questions you may have. If you don't get them up here, you get them on this coaching show tonight at 7 o'clock down the line with you. So.
A little multitasking going on as we speak here in Columbia. A lot flying there. So it's been an interesting day. It's been a great day. First of all, I want to congratulate our graduates on our football team. We've got 8 young men that have graduated and received their diploma before they've played their last game at the University of South Carolina. Some of them happened this summer, but I want to recognize them as well. But Corey Helms, Alan Knott, Demetrius Smalls, Dante Sawyer, Chris Lamons, Sky Moore, Ulrich Jones, and DJ Park. What a phenomenal job that these guys have done graduating before they finish their eligibility. It says a lot about our program. It says a lot about Maria Hickman and the staff at the Doty Anderson, and what a fantastic job that they do, and our commitment here to the true student athlete, and that's a lot of fun. But the program got better today. We ended up signing 20 guys in this class in this early signing period, and looking forward to obviously finishing out this class, but we certainly improved our program. We'll know about this class, as I'll say every year. I'll say this again in February and next December. We'll know about this class in 2 or 3 years. But I really think as far as the critical factors are concerned, at every position we hit more and more of what we want our football team to be and look like moving forward, and that's exciting. The last 2-year signing classes, we've produced 18 starters, 9 major contributors. You're talking about 27 guys on your football team, 28 guys on your team that are playing in their first or second year and are major contributors to your organization. It's also produced 2 permanent team captains, and Jake Bentley and Dennis Wonham voted by their teammates for only the 3rd time in school history. So you talk in terms of leadership and character and the type of people you want in your organization, because there were certainly some other guys that were up for that award as well, but voted by their teammates. As far as our signing class is concerned, Decarrion Joyner is the lone quarterback that we signed from Fort Dorchester High School, played for Coach LaPrade over there. Got a little music going there. Joe, what we got? We good? All right. But 40-3 as a starting quarterback, and the word that comes to mind is intangibles that really jump out at you. And, you know, a charismatic young man. He positively affects everybody around him. When I first got the job at South Carolina, his football team within the next week was playing a state championship as a 15-year-old sophomore for Fort Dorchester, and won a state championship here at our stadium, his stadium now as well. And we're excited for Decarrion being a part of our program. But guys, again, 40-3 says enough to me as far as you know, what he's accomplished. He also is a mid-year enrollee. Of the signing class we had, 13 will be mid-year enrollees, which is the largest number by far that I've ever been around, and I'll address that as we continue to move forward. Deshaun Fenwick from Braden Rivers, a 6-foot, 220-pound back, extremely talented, big back, tough, hard-nosed runner, has really good hands out of the backfield, a really good blocker, extremely bright. But this is a big, explosive back that we're excited about. Bobby Bentley did a fantastic job in the recruiting process with Deshaun, and we're really excited about him. Again, another mid-year enrollee that'll be on campus here 1st of January. Levante Valentine from Melbourne Central Catholic won the 100-meter last year in the state of Florida. Was a 10.66, I believe, was the winning time that year. He's been as low as a 10.40. He will run track here at South Carolina as well. He did injure his knee this past fall. He's working through the rehab with that. I talked to him a little while ago. He seems to think it's going extremely well. He's a 4.0 GPA. Extremely intelligent young man, bright student, so excited that he's going to be helping the Gamecocks in the football field and running track, and excited to have that speed and having a guy like that can run like he does. Tyquan Johnson from Screven County. He's been a Gamecock there at Screven County. We're excited he's going to continue to be so. But again, a guy that came to camp, he vertical 36.5 inches. He broad jumped 10.4 in a predominantly running offense, had 11 touchdown catches this year. But just an explosive guy. Coach Duncan's done a fantastic job over there, but he's a 6'3", 190-pound guy, and again, a guy that came to camp and earned it. You know, he earned a scholarship. We really liked his tape, but we wanted to see him work out, and sometimes the receiver tape can be a little deceiving, and he just came to camp and killed it, and was really excited, committed us soon after that. So we're really excited to have Tyquan a part of the Gamecock family. Darius Rush, a receiver from C.E. Murray right here in state. Again, another outstanding student, 3.940 GPA. But was really impressive camp our first year, 2 years ago. Played quarterback, receiver, running back, defensive back, was a kick returner, did really everything for C.E. Murray. He's also a state champ in the long jump and the triple. and his mom Sonia there teaches at the school. So a guy that we think's got a tremendous upside. He's a 6'2", 190-pound guy that can do a lot of different things, and we're excited about him being a part of our program. And you see right there in the highlights, he can do some special things with the ball in his hand. We wanted to become a longer team, create some more length at multiple positions, and certainly, as you see going through this, we're going to be a longer football team. Josh Vann from Tucker High School. Brian Lamar's the head coach over there, one of the best programs in the state of Georgia. We signed Aaron Sterling last year from Tucker, and most any young man I've signed from that school knows about work and effort and toughness and the things that we value here in our program. But he had a wow factor at camp. He's a very smooth receiver. He's got great hands. He's got great ball skills down the field, but a guy that we're extremely excited about. Deborah and Stacy, his parents, are great people, and really, really excited about Josh. They played in the state championship against Valdosta last year, and they lost, and then they got beat in the semifinals this past year to Coffee. But a great program. He understands about winning. He understands about work ethic, and that's two really important things. Offensive line-wise, Wyatt Campbell from Lugoff Elgin here locally, played for Matt Campbell, a former Gamecock and former Carolina Panther. Again, another guy that came to camp and earned it. So much of playing offensive line is the intangible qualities you're looking for, and Coach Wolford was really excited about his effort in camp and his toughness and how he displayed that, but he's done a fantastic job. The thing about White, he's only 17 years old. He won't be 18 until he enrolls. He is a mid-year enrollee, but he's 6'5", 280, and he's going to continue to grow. Javon Gwynn from Harding High School up in Charlotte, played for Sam Griner. They just won the state championship, first time since 1951. It's an amazing run there that they had there at Harding this year. I think they ended up being 14-1. But you're talking about an explosive athlete. He's a 300-plus power cleaner, 400-plus bencher, and a 500-plus squatter. So this guy's an explosive athlete, could play on the defensive side of the ball, we feel, but he will start as an interior offensive lineman for us, and we're excited about Javon. Max Shemaiah from Siegel High School up in Tennessee, a guy we identified early in the process, and Bobby Bentley, who recruits the Tennessee area for us, and Eric Wolford did a fantastic job. 6'5", 300+, great frame, very athletic. A guy that's just got a tremendous upside as a player. But we improve athletically with a guy like this that can climb on the second level, has the length and athleticism to block in space, but also has the power in his lower body continue to grow. And he and his mom, Heather, are great people, and really excited about having Max a part of our family. Hank Manos from Chapin High School locally. Justin Gentry does a fantastic job there. This guy's a state champion wrestler, was undefeated as a junior. But as a 6'4", 275-pounder, he had to keep it at 275 because that's the weight limit for the heavyweight. So there's no telling how big Hank's going to actually get when he gets on campus. And, Frank and Lori, his parents, are great people. Really enjoyed getting to know them. But he's got the tenacity for the position. He's got a great work ethic. And we're really excited about Hank being a part of the program. Jabari Ellis from Georgia Military, played for Burt Williams over there. When I first got to South Carolina, I went by a lot of the high schools in the state. Lake Marion was one of the schools I went to over in Santee, and I walked in the hallway and saw this guy. I didn't know if he's an underclassman or who he was, and I introduced myself to him and found out that he was a guy that just had gotten a little bit behind early on in his high school career. But was going to play in the Shrine Bowl that year. I called Burt Williams and said, I think I found you a really good defensive lineman, and we need him to be a Gamecock in a couple of years, and that's the way it's worked out. But excited to have Jabari, really looking forward to him getting here. Kingsley J.J. and Barre just won a state championship at Hateville Charter. I was at the game last Friday night, but a big, long athlete, 6'4", 260, won the state final against Rabun County. First play of the game, they throw a little bubble pass, and at 260, he outran everybody to the ball. But this guy's got a tremendous upside and extremely intelligent. JJ's his nickname from JJ the Jet, the old cartoon there. His mom nicknamed him that when he was little. So I don't mean to get him, the guys will give him a hard time about that, but wonderful young man. He is a mid-year as well. So we're looking forward to getting him in our program as soon as possible. Jesus Gibbs from Potomac High School up in Virginia, a guy that we started out initially recruiting as an offensive lineman. And as the process started to wear on his senior year, he's playing tight end. He's playing on the defensive side of the ball. He did play some offensive line, but athletically, this guy he's a really good athlete. We worked him out in camp. Every one of these guys we signed worked out in our camp. And, he's a guy that we really are excited about on the defensive side of the ball. He's a 4.0 student. He was accepted into Princeton and Harvard and some different schools like that. But we're certainly excited about him. Just an explosive athlete, had a great workout, and I think he's got a tremendous upside. Tyreek Johnson from Lakewood, was a guy that was initially going to sign with us a year ago. He tore his labrum, felt like that he needed labrum surgery, and we delayed his enrollment. He is on campus right now. He has practiced with us the last 2 days, just been in helmets only, but a guy that we're really excited about. We were excited about him last year and felt like we'd rather have him surgery, not start his clock coming on campus, and let him enroll now, and excited about having Tyreek here on campus. Ernest Jones from Ware County, Waycross, Georgia, played for Franklin Stevens. He used to be the head coach at Tucker and Lamar before that. But I've known Franklin for a long time, and you get one of his players, they're going to know about work ethic, and they're going to know about the things, the intangible qualities that a good football player's got to have. But Ernest is really smart, instinctive, tough, a guy that can make all the calls, and he's got a tremendous upside moving forward. But he's going to know about work ethic. He's going to know about toughness, and that's exciting to get a guy like that a part of our program. But as a bigger linebacker, again, we're playing some more two-back teams, especially on the Eastern Division. We need to get bigger at that position, and certainly Ernest provides that. Rosendo Lewis from Deerfield Beach was a guy that we identified early in the process. Coach Glenn, his coach down there, is a guy that T-Rob and I have known for a long time. But early on, we had identified this as being a guy that we wanted to have on our football team. He committed to another school, and this crazy coaching carousel takes place, and he's looking for a home. And we were able to continue to recruit him. He can play all 4 linebacker spots. He can play Sam, Mike, Will, or Buck. He's got pass rush ability, but he's a guy that's got a tremendous upside. He is a head butter. And I went and watched him play, getting ready for the state playoffs there last year in December down at Deerfield. I left the practice field and looked at T-Rob, and I said, he's one of us. So we've been recruiting him since then, and we're very fortunate today that he's a Gamecock. Defensive back, R.J. Roderick from Cane Bay, who played for Coach Zara over there. Again, a guy that played high school quarterback, an option quarterback. You see his athleticism. He came to our spring game last year. I remember I met him right out here in the hallway. I told Pat Washington, this guy's got a great body. Let's make sure we get him to camp. I want to see his movement skills in space to see if he could play defensive back, and he can. He's got man coverage ability. He's got zone instincts. He's a guy that we're really excited about. I've coached a lot of guys that didn't play defensive back in high school, like Earl Thomas, LaRon Landry, Travis Daniels, Corey Webster, that played quarterback only in high school. And if I'm a high school coach, I'm going to put my best player playing quarterback too, because he gets to touch the ball every snap, and he gets to make plays with the ball. But those guys got to make decisions. He's a very good decision-making. He ran the triple option there at Cane Bay, and a guy that we're really excited about. J.C. Horn from Alpharetta High School. Coach Nichols does a great job over there. But, J.C., again, we needed to get longer in the secondary. We need to get more physical in the secondary and be able to, continue to work to play our style. But a very smart cover corner guy, can match up against the bigger receivers. He's also a returner, so he's got a vast skill set for what we're looking for at the position. Again, another guy that we stayed on in the process and continued to recruit. And I think he's got a tremendous upside as a player. But as a guy outside, you can go match up against some of the bigger receivers and not worry about the matchup issues sometimes that you could have. But excited about him and getting to know his dad, Joe, in the process has been great. And Lucretia's mom's a wonderful lady. Israel Mukamu from Berkeley High School. Now, he is at Parkview or a Parkway in Louisiana, Shreveport area, but is from Berkeley County here in South Carolina. And excited to keep him in state. Again, another guy, you're talking in terms of length, physicality, and intelligence. And this guy can really run on the top end. He can finish down the field. He's got really good ball skills, very tough, physical, and an extremely bright, intelligent player. We had him in camp. We really liked his work ethic. He moved because of his family. Charles and Betty moved to the Shreveport area in the military, and we're excited to get him coming back home to South Carolina. It's going to be a lot of fun to coach. Jonathan Gibson from Mill Creek High School. Career leader in interceptions there, one of the best programs in the state of Georgia. Shannon Jarvis does an outstanding job. But Jonathan's a guy that plays corner safety. He's a returner, but a guy that's got a tremendous upside. We really liked him in camp. But, has a ball hawk ability to get the ball off people. You talk to people in Gwinnett County the last 3, 4, 5 years, that's one of the names that comes up in that county as far as one of the better football players in that area. So it's exciting to get through all those 20 guys there, getting to know them, their families, and looking forward to them becoming Gamecocks. But all 20 worked out in our camp. I think that's critical. You know how important that is to me. 13 are mid-year enrollees, and I can't say enough about that from a standpoint of obviously extremely intelligent, obviously guys that we think can play, and help us, so they're talented. But then you throw on top of that, I mean, from a standpoint of priorities in life, discipline, I mean, there's no way I could have graduated mid-year. David, I know you couldn't have graduated mid-year. And at the end of the day, you know, you look at that and how difficult that process is, and it takes a lot of sacrifice on their part of possibly going to summer school and the different things they've got to do and the sacrifices they've got to make it happen. And that says an awful lot, and 13 is the most I've ever been around. So that's really exciting. We also are in Outback Bowl prep versus Michigan, and we started really Friday. And we've had 4 training camp-like practices with our football team, really working on fundamentals and techniques and working on South Carolina. And that's what we've been really honed in on and what we're trying to do. Today was our first day, even though it's Wednesday, it was a Tuesday for Michigan. Tomorrow will be a Thursday, but it'll be a Wednesday. And then Friday will be a Friday, but it's going to be a Thursday practice for us as far as our game preparation. We want to have the whole game plan in on Michigan before we take the break. And then we'll meet down at the bowl site on the 26th, have a walkthrough, do a little conditioning, and then have a pretty much of an extra day, but a game week-like preparation. Michigan's got a good football team. I got great respect for this program. They're very impressive on both lines of scrimmage, especially in their front seven defensively. You know, Rashawn Gary, Maurice Hurst, Devin Bush is a guy we recruited. They're very active in the front seven. Don Brown, their defensive coordinator, does a fantastic job. But they're a physical football team. They're going to line up in two-back and multiple big people sets and try and run the ball downhill and play actions off of that. And they've got really good skilled people outside. So we have our work cut out for us, but they're an impressive football team. As far as our roster is concerned, you know, academically we're in great shape. As I stated earlier, Caleb Chalmers will transfer. He came to me and wanted more playing time, and I certainly wish him well. Jemias Williams had surgery, and he is out for the game. He'll meet us down at the bowl site. Right now, everybody else, I think, should be up for the game. I will be able to update you more when we get to Tampa, but Casey Crosby's practicing, Rico's practicing, AJ, Sherrod Green, Anton Wilder, all of those guys are practicing, and I believe all of them should be available for the game. But I'll update you more when we get to Tampa for sure. Sherrod really just ran today. He didn't practice, but the rest of the guys have been taking some snaps. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. David, with first one.
Will, with this new signing period, how much did you have to adjust your normal, recruiting cycle, and how much of a burden or a good thing was it to have this at this time?
You had to adjust a lot from the standpoint of, number one, of as you've dealt with young people, sometimes they think they're going to sign the early signing date. Then I'm not really sure I'm going to sign the early signing date. So it puts a lot on the assistant coach to get the information right. And I'm very involved in all of the recruits, so I'm involved in that process as well to make sure that, I only get one visit off campus with a prospective student athlete. So, I hit more guys in December than I ever have because of the fact that we didn't want to waste, not that I'm going to go in there and get the kid to sign, but certainly the attention that a young man deserves is important. And I think our staff did a fantastic job of identifying those things early in the process and knowing, where we needed to spend our time. But we spent a lot of time talking about this early signing period as a staff, and I think we managed it pretty well. We had more visits in the season than we normally do. We had a big weekend in December during the banquet, which is what we normally do. So I don't know that it was much different much more different than just having more visits in the season. So it is what it is. I mean, it's the rule. We'll go play by it.
Are you in favor of it?
I'm kind of down the middle on it. At the end of the day, I don't whatever they want to do is fine with me. I don't waste time giving them my opinion because it doesn't matter.
Coach, with bowl practice and this early signing period going on at the same time, how hard is it to balance getting out there and seeing recruits and also making sure there's a game plan for Michigan?
Well, again, I think that the most important thing was giving our players some time off. It's a long season, and we were, banged up like everybody else in the country late in the year. And I think it's good for your guys to get away and decompress. We did get some lifts and some runs in with Jeff Dillman and the string staff, but our guy, we were on the road every day. We took a couple mornings and then afternoons to come in and game plan, but we had time to get that done. I pulled everybody off the road the Friday before last Saturday to spend a day to game plan for Michigan, and I think that that's gone well. I think we're where we need to be as far as that's concerned to get everything done in Columbia. There's a lot of distractions when you get to Tampa, so I want to have the whole game plan done, and you just kind of, add and subtract a little bit here and there as far as what you want to do within that. But, as far as the practice and things, I carried a cell phone on the field for the first time in my coaching career today, which I was disappointed I actually did that, but I was afraid I'd miss a phone call if I didn't. So that was really the only change for me.
Way back left corner, please.
Coach Steve, do you anticipate the offense looking any different with McClendon working as the one play caller?
Well, you need to come to the game. Be good. All good.
Will, is bowl practice in this bowl game too early of a time to identify who are going to be your leaders for 2018?
Well, I think so. I think our team voted for permanent captains for this year and voted for Hayden Hurst and Sky Moore, two guys that are moving forward, and Jake Bentley and Dennis Warren. But I certainly think that we have a lot of good leadership in our underclassmen and some guys that are certainly very capable. And I think you identify that more in the off season, in my opinion, than you do right now.
Mike in back.
Yeah. Hey, well, why the change in offensive coordinator, and what are you looking for from your offense here going forward specifically? Well, what did you want to change?
Well, I just think we need to be more productive at the end of the day, and that was kind of what I wanted to do. And but schematically, I like what we do. I like to play with a little quicker tempo at times, and we need to be more productive.
With the change, who will be coaching quarterbacks for the bowl?
Well, right now, Seth Strickland's coaching our tight ends. Pat Washington's working with our running backs. Bobby Bentley's working with our quarterbacks. Brian McClendon's working with receivers. And Wolf's working with the offensive line.
When did you come to the conclusion to make that change with Kurt Roper, and how did that conversation go?
Well, it was after the season was completed, and kind of evaluating, as I always do in all phases of our program, whether it's in recruiting and coaching and players or whatever it is. And then it was not a fun conversation. He's a guy that I've got a tremendous respect for. He's an outstanding football coach and an outstanding person.
Well, you got 20 today, 13 are coming in January. How many more do you anticipate on signing in February?
We'll sign 25, so 5 more.
Will, you mentioned not knowing who your leaders are yet for next season, but how big are these bowl practices for getting guys behind Hayden and Dante and some of the other seniors that are graduating?
Sure.
How important is it for them and the young guys on this team?
Well, leadership is an everyday thing, and so it's not that we don't identify it. I think it's pretty evident to some guys that can step forward. But I think from a young player's perspective, huge opportunity for a lot of guys, but we're still a young team. 70% of our roster is freshmen and sophomores. So to just turns and reps, giving guys different opportunities. But to see Damani Staley and Devon Bowen and some of these guys and Jordan Carty and Jordan Rhodes practicing well, I mean, that's what we need to be able to see these guys continue to develop, and we get more and more reps with those guys. But I certainly think that we've got that part of our evaluation in the recruiting process is the intangible qualities. And talking in terms of the high school coach, the counselor, the principal, the people in the community of, what type of young man is this? Does he have the ability to be a captain of a football team? And I think that's really important in the evaluation process. So that's essential in our evaluation process, and something that you got to continue to bring that along when a young man gets on campus.
Kind of evaluating the season, what did you see out of Jake over the course of the 12 games? Did you see the growth that you expected from him as a freshman to sophomore, and how do you think Bobby working with him now during this period can help him, if at all?
Well, again, I think that Jake has done a phenomenal job as a high school senior, playing last year and then going into his second season and playing very productive football for us. And I got all the confidence in the world, and he has all the confidence of his teammates in the job that he's done. And certainly there'd be some balls he'd like to have back. He'll be the first one to tell you that because of his competitive edge and the way he is. Bobby's the most qualified guy on our staff right now to coach quarterbacks and has done a pretty good job. He won 9 state championships coaching his sons multiple times. So I think he's more than qualified for the job to do a good job. And we understand the relationship, and it's different when you're on the field. It's the coach-player relationship when we're on the field, and we understand that.
Couple of things. Zach Bailey at one point was talking about looking at the NFL. Has he given you an indication for sure of his plans for next year?
Right now, I totally expect him back.
And when do you want to make an OC hire? When do you
It'll
want
be after the bowl game.
Do you, shortly after the bowl game? Is there any deadline once you get past the bowl game in terms
really have a
of
deadline
urgency?
on anything.
And the 10th assistant coach, do you know when you might make that hire?
January 9th.
You expect to add that person then? You expect to be ready to go there? What kind of position are you looking for? What kind of role are you looking for in that job?
Well, again, obviously, I don't anticipate any other changes on our staff. But, you know, you got to be prepared for anything from that standpoint. But I need some more help with Coleman Hudson on special teams. The guy does a phenomenal job, and I want somebody to be able to help him. But it also needs to fit for us in the recruiting aspect as well. In our area of recruiting from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida to continue to help there.
Will the NCAA released a statement about recruiting violations that were self-punished and kind of minor in nature, but
No, they were very minor.
Yeah, what steps have you taken to avoid that in the future?
Well, also, the NCAA found us a very compliant program, number one. They were overly minor in nature, and they've been handled, and we've closed the book, and we're moving forward. Nothing to it.
Were you surprised by the timing of that release from the NCAA, and does it have any kind of effect on
I have no control over that. It had nothing to do with the day now.
Jonathan Gibson had said he was going to wait until February, take some visits, then he ended up signing today. What did you say to him to convince him to go ahead and get it done today?
I believe Shannon Jarvis, his head coach, may have had a talk with him. So, no, again, when you deal with young people, sometimes they hear something and they think that's a really good idea, and we will think at the end of the day, you know, Jonathan's been committed here. He's a really good football player. He's a wonderful young man. And, you know, who wouldn't want to go take 14 other trips and go to some different places and see some different things and get your, you know, food paid for and all that kind of stuff? It's a neat experience. But, you know, you also run the risk of losing a scholarship somewhere if you continue to wait on those situations. And obviously, you know, Coach Jarvis has been a part of this for a long time and understands the recruiting process. And I think they had a little meeting today, and they called us when we got off the practice field and said, is there any way you could email this stuff over to us? We'd like to sign today.
Just what kind of an opportunity is it for Coach Strickland to kind of step in, obviously for a young coach getting that kind of responsibility in this sort of situation?
Well, Seth does an outstanding job. You know, of course, played here at South Carolina, from the state, and but he's a very intelligent guy. It's all about opportunity. I mean, you have to get your foot in the door somewhere. But he's a guy that has been working with Coach Washington all year. Very understands what we do offensively. He's doing an outstanding job.
Coach, how do you think social media has changed recruiting and National Signing Day compared to maybe even 10 years ago?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a easier way to communicate, you know, as far as direct messages and those things are concerned. I think that makes life a little easier for you as a coach. Now that was a year or two ago, I guess. I don't know, can't remember when text messages came in. I guess you can text now, but so that helped back then. You were able to do that. But certainly, I think marketing your brand, and Justin King and our folks here and Coach Tanner's have provided that for us to be able to market the athletic department, our university, much better as far as the social media is concerned. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what young people are on now, and that's what they see. And so you've got to understand that part of it. That's part of it.
I kind of mentioned this earlier, but how much or how with the defensive backs, how many of those guys are you expecting to come in and contribute right away or hoping to contribute right away?
Well, we don't sign them if we don't think they can play. So how much they're going to contribute, I have no idea. I'll wait till they get on campus and we'll evaluate those guys. And are they going to have the opportunity? Absolutely. Sheer numbers will tell you that. And then, obviously with us losing, Chris Lamons and Jamarcus King and DJ Smith, that opens up a lot of opportunity for a young man to come in and play, especially as much nickel as we play. And we had a lot of situations last year we couldn't go to dime because we didn't have 6 guys that we felt, confident enough to get the job done. So absolutely, they'll have every opportunity in the world. And I don't know that there's anyone in the country, and when T-Rob and I have been together, has played more defensive back as freshmen and started more defensive back as freshmen. So we do have an ability to get them ready to play, but I'm not ready to sit here on December 20th and tell you who's going to play against Coastal Carolina in Game 1.
Will, how are Shy and Rico?
Yeah, they're good. Rico's been a little slowed because of the ankle, but Shy's doing well, doing very well.
Have you decided for sure that you're going outside for an OC hire? And if
No,
not, how many guys on your staff would you consider?
Brian McClendon.
Okay, so is this kind of an audition for him, would you say? Or
It's a long job interview.
yeah. Also, Will, what do you think of, you've coached, you're one of the rare college coaches that coached in the NFL and college, so maybe you have a different perspective on this, but what do you think about these guys skipping bowl games, to get ready for the NFL draft?
I think it's someone's individual choice to what they want to do, and I see both sides of it. But I think that's an individual choice from the player. Dante Fowler called me when they were playing in the Birmingham Bowl before he went to Birmingham and said, "I don't know that I need to play." I said, "Son, that's your decision. That's your family's decision. That's not my decision." I wasn't the head coach at the time, and called me 2 nights before the game and said, "I'm playing." He got a great competitive edge about himself. He said, "There's no way I wouldn't play." So again, it's all individual situations, and I don't look any differently on anybody for making that decision. That's their decision, and it is what it is.
To clarify what you just said about Brian, Bobby Bentley is not a candidate for the full-time OC position.
I think he's certainly capable at this time, but Brian, currently on staff, would be the only one.
It seemed like y'all were able to close really strong with 4 guys here in the last week. Do you take some pride in that, being able to close both yourself as a head coach and for the staff?
Well, I mean, I think that it's, John, I don't know that it's closing, it's persistence. And it's the same message over and over and over again in promoting the University of South Carolina, our staff, our program, and where it's headed. Because the message never change. I mean, the message for us never changes. And it's not about that. And then, so it's just the persistence of the consistent message of what we do and how we do things. And, you just stay after it in the recruiting process. There's no magic wand. At the end of the day, you got to stay persistent in what you do in recruiting to recruit the type players you want in your program.
Will, how much did it mean to you that Hayden made his declaration but immediately said, "I'm playing," and continues to be a leader and a captain?
Oh, he's the best. Now, we're going to miss him. I mean, and I think as much as anything, his athleticism and all is great, but his intangible qualities and how he positively affects the people around him, we're going to miss that in a tremendous way.
Michigan obviously has a great defense. Do you get involved with Coach McClendon more than you did previously with Kurt Roper, just because this is his first time coordinating an offense and calling a game?
No, I mean I just normally put the tape on more than likely with our opponents in the conference, because I've been in this league for a long time, and whether I've worked with a coach or not, sometimes I can give some insight to how they think and what they may do. And there's no guarantees on anything. And obviously, breaking tendencies is a huge part of what good coordinators do. So, but I don't know Coach Brown as well. I know that he does a phenomenal job with exotic pressures and different things that he gives you, and the odd fronts and even fronts. And I've watched a lot of their tape and realized they're pretty good. So, but Brian and our offensive staff, they'll do a good job putting a great plan. I've been very pleased with how we've practiced and how our preparation has gone to this point. Extremely pleased.
Coach, you guys got 13 mid-year enrollees, and you're expecting to sign 5 more guys in February. Just talk about these guys, the 13 guys, and how being able to bring them in this early helps you guys and helps them to be able to, gel moving forward?
Well, I've never been a part of a mid-year signee class this big, number one. But number two, I've never seen a mid-year come in and not be a benefit to the student athlete. From a standpoint of you're coming in January, it's a much more controlled environment as far as your academics are concerned. Obviously, coming in with 12 other guys is going to help them even more so. They're all going through the same thing together as far as the orientation. I mean, all the different stuff that they're going to go through together. You're introduced to the weight room from that standpoint and learning all the techniques. When the coaches get off the road, we're going to start the all-season program, which is beneficial for every young man in our program to go through. So that's all it's going to do is help them become a better football player. And then you're able to go to spring ball, which we practice today, and then we have a day off. Well, we don't have a day off, but we meet and we watch film and we make the corrections. So from a football standpoint, it helps them tremendously because we're not getting ready for a game. We're installing our defense. We're installing our offense. We're looking at special teams, and we're going through that process. And so then where it's a major benefactors in the fall is when a young man is now getting ready for a game, and he's already been through this process. So he understands the balance of social, academic, athletic, and there's a balance there, and they've got to understand that. And, time management to me is critical for a student athlete to understand that there's not enough time in the day for everything, and you've got to be able to manage your time. But when these young people come here into January, they're going to learn without having to get ready for a game and the pressures of that and the anxiety of that. And I just think it's a very beneficial process. Is it an answer all? No. I mean, at the end of the day, I've had guys show up in June and August and start and play extremely well. So that's not everything, but I certainly know from an academic benefit, it's a huge.
The quarterback number was pretty low after Perry graduated and Brandon transferred, and then you guys added Jay last year. But how much can to carry on really lengthen that quarterback depth room?
Well, we're very pleased with Jay Urich and Michael Skarnecki as well, two guys on campus that have, I think they've improved tremendously throughout the year. And obviously the confidence we have in Jake, but to carry on will get no different than any other position. We'll be given every opportunity in the world to contribute to our football team and help us win football games.
I know that you don't pay any attention to recruiting rankings at all, but is there a guy or two that you're kind of shocked by how little publicity they get, whether it's publicly or by recruiting services?
There's a bunch, but I don't worry about it. I know a lot more than they do.
When a guy like Coach McClendon is going through what you kind of call a long interview, what are the sort of things you kind of look at, since it's obviously a pretty short amount of time that he's kind of in that spot?
Sure. Well, I think, organizing practice, organizing meetings, command with the team, command with the staff, and, obviously the preparation to the game and then the production of the game. I think it's all encompassing. And, to this point, he's doing an outstanding job.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
All right. Thank you.